Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. My name is Andy. Decayed Andy. Almost said the wrong name there. Haha! Mikey's still not here. He's off on dino expeditions or burying people he's murdered. I'm not here to judge. I mean, I will be here to judge next week, if I remember. But this time, I was able to get somebody to come onto the show. It's our fill-in, the man bigger than Mikey. He fills in much bigger shoes than Mikey do. It's Mr. Jason. Hello, Jason.
Did you just fat shame me by?
No, I said you had bigger feet.
God,
I said you had bigger feet, so you got a bigger dick.
How? Oh man, boy, I hope I don't have a bigger dick than him because Mikey, you poor man, you. Also, if he is in fact out there burying the dead that he has, caused, does that mean that in order to counteract the profession where he unearths the dead, he must then kill in order to bury the dead, and therefore get the I don't know, the synergy needed in order for he might very well be what keeps the fabric of our space-time continuum together.
Well, the way I've always looked at it is Mikey is the kind of guy who needs to gift back to the Earth. So because he takes away from the Earth by taking the bones of dead dinosaurs, he needs to replace it with something, right? So He needs to replace it with someone who's just recently dead, who will then become a fossil in time. You know, it's give and take. It's take a penny, leave a penny. You don't just take all the pennies. You got to leave something behind as well, right?
As far as I'm concerned, it would hold up in a court of law too. So he's free to murder as much as he'd like.
Well, apparently he's known some teachers of his that have been dirty wrongins in the past. So I guess that's maybe true.
Oh my,
we've talked about it on the show before.
Oh my.
But we're here to talk about Transformers today. Yay! There are some bits of news, more than last week, which is nice. Next week, when Mikey comes back, we'll have maybe not even more, but we'll have some more bits of news as Transformers Tuesday, or Fans First Tuesday, or whatever they're running it by this time, will actually have happened, obviously, because we're recording on Sunday. Tuesday has not happened yet. That's not how time works. So we'll actually have some proper reveals for the things that we're going to talk about in the not-too-distant future. But we're going to start with third-party stuff. We're going to talk about the APC toys, Transformers Prime, Arachnid. Got some colored prototypes. I think I was meant to talk about this list last week, but I forgot about it. Now we have nicer images of her. APC toys currently have been a third-party company that has been, I guess you could say, doing knockoffs and doing resizes of different characters from Transformers Prime. So they re-released basically their knockoff version of the first edition Bulkhead, which is, of course, very difficult to get. They upscaled the Voyager Megatron from the Transformers Robots in Disguise line, which was what Prime was turned into for whatever reason. So they upscaled it and gave it a proper painting to match the show. I think they re-released a knockoff version they released a knockoff version of the first edition Optimus Prime from the first edition line. I can't remember if they've done anybody else, but this seems to be the first time they've done an entirely new robot, an entirely new Transformer, which is what Arachnid is. Because if we look at Hasbro's attempts of doing Arachnid, they're very much of the era of the Transformers Rid line, shall we say, i.e. bad, if you didn't know. Bad.
Lacking, if you will.
So, what's that?
They're lacking, if you will.
Yes, that's fair to say. They are lacking in many ways. This seems to give a much more accurate look to at least a robot mode. She can do the spider butt mode and use her spider legs to carry her around. She has normal robot legs and she turns into a helicopter. Is the helicopter perfect? No. Is it fairly accurate to how it was in the show, though? Yes. And I think they did a pretty good job compacting her down into that mode from, Spider Lady mode. We've got her in all of the modes I mentioned. One sitting on her desk, so it's not photoshopped or anything like that. And then the other ones are a little bit more tidied up. Are there any more bits of information on here? No, I don't see any release date or anything like that, but it just shows the mode. So, Jason, Arachnid, what do you think of it?
I think my favorite part of the whole thing is the fact that if you look at the pictures on TFW, the one you were talking about of her on the actual desk, like an actual picture of her, not a render. I see in the background all kinds of stuff from like Gundam model stuff, and it's so cool that I now recognize all that stuff because while I don't have it all right now, it's either I do have it or I actually literally have the Mr. Setter that's in the background on the way to my house like sometime this week. So
oh, is that Tamiya? Is that a different kind of glue that they've got in the background? If that's what you're talking about,
I think there's a Tamiya there too as well. So
okay, all right, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. There's lots of hobby stuff in the background.
Right. So obviously that's I'm going to say a hand painted prototype, unless they just kind of left their Gundam stuff hanging around while they were taking shots of the toy or whatever. But
I guess it depends how the operation works, right? Because I have no idea how this company works, whether they have a little office or factory or whatever. But I wouldn't be shocked if, like you say, it's a hand painted prototype at this point.
Yeah, and I know a lot of places are doing like 3D printed prototype stuff like that. So that could be what they're doing. As far as the look, though, I think the robot mode looks very good. Like you said, the helicopter, it's not going to look like any helicopter you've ever seen. But as far as the helicopter in the show, I think it does a pretty good job of representing that. And then I actually really like that they threw in the mode where she's like kind of spider-like with her torso transformed and then her no legs and then the spider legs.
Yes.
If this is something I was getting, I would definitely keep her in that mode because it's by far her best and creepiest mode. I really like. I think this is shaping up to look like a really nice toy.
One thing that Mikey mentioned to me, because I talked to Mikey over DMs on Twitter over the past few days, when he saw this, he did wonder how the legs work and how the helicopter blades work, because obviously her legs are meant to be the helicopter blades. If you look at the helicopter mode, they look different from the actual spider legs.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess the assumption is maybe the rotor blades and the spider legs are like removable, or like you can switch one out for the other, for one mode for the other, just to give it a bit more of a cleaner look. I think in her robot mode, like where she's got the white background, I think that is the helicopter blades, because if you notice, I can only see 3 spider legs in there, and they're at I guess what you would imagine where the helicopter blades would be. But if you look at the spider mode for her, there's an extra 2 legs or something like that.
Yeah.
That aren't there, and they're at more of an angle. They're a little bit thinner as they get closer to the body, and they're a little bit more curved as well. So it must be a removable backpack or something, which is, fine by me. I don't mind. I'm sure it probably annoys some people, but I don't care.
Yeah, I haven't seen, I've seen most of Prime. I haven't seen enough of it, unlike a lot of the other shows. I haven't seen the episodes multiple times, so I can't quite remember if every time you see her, you always see that many legs. But if they just have it where if you just normally transform her, she's got the 3 legs, and you can pose them however you want because they look fairly posable, the way they are, And then if you want to add a couple more legs for the spider mode, I mean, personally, if they're completely detachable, I'm past the point where I care about whether there's parts forming or not. I mean, come on, people. What do you want? Do you want it to look good? Do you want it to not look great but not have any parts forming, or do you want it to cost $800? Because that's the only way you get both. So,
yeah, Mikey mentioned that there's people seem to not like the fake chests for Optimus Prime and stuff. They want them to fully transform, but like we've said on the show before, it gets to a point where engineering and look of the toy are going to be at odds with each other. So you gotta choose your battles. And I'd much rather have the figure look nice than it transform perfectly, I guess.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% there too. Again, for the most part, I'm sure there's exceptions. You get the toy. You transform it a couple times, you place it on a shelf, and every once in a while you pick it up and transform it again. It does not matter nearly as much as people like to make it seem like it does.
I suppose it depends on what kind of collector you are, though, and what you're into. And but that's the great thing about this, because it's a third-party one, so no one feels, I guess, obligated to buy one.
Right.
As much as anyone ever has to buy a Transformer. You know?
I know I don't feel obligated much anymore, that's for sure.
Do you want to take us on to the next bit of news, unless you've got anything else to say about Arachnid?
No, I think we can move on. And our next story comes via Weibo, the third-party company Rising Force. Oh yeah, these names are getting more and more interesting. They have shared great prototypes of their G1 Stunticons and their combined form into Menasor. So they show both the 5 individual members in their robot forms, and then they show the combined version of Menasor. I mean, it's great prototype, so you're not seeing, a whole lot other than what the basic outline of it will be and everything like that. But it's the Stunticons. You can inject your own colors in your mind if you need to, just to get a feel for what it's going to look like. But it looks good. It looks like we have. Well, it's always tough though, because Menasor is always kind of a cheat. Because I know one of the current versions of Menasor, is it Gravestone? I can't remember.
Is this a third-party one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, a lot of the bits of Menasor are Motormaster's trailer, more or less. So you can kind of cheat that with Menasor to make it a little easier to get the transforming bits in it. But yeah, it would be interesting to see if this is one of those attempts to just have all of the combining bits completely into the toys themselves, so you don't have to add anything, or if, like I said, with Menasor, you could actually cheat and use some pieces of his trailer for that. But yeah,
well, looking at this one and looking at Motormaster himself, the Menasor shit has. If you look at Menasor's thighs and you look at Motormaster, you can see his legs are the same, so it looks like they're gonna try and do the more G1 style toy and have it all integrated, rather than, like you said, with other third-party companies making them two separate things. Motormaster and his trailer, two separate things. So I guess if that's that kind of Menasor that you want, I guess this is more in line with your tastes. I think it's a bad idea to release Stunticons out at the moment, purely because Legacy is releasing the Stunticons at the moment. We've known this for a while. Dragstrip is out, or mostly out in America, depending on your location and distribution.
Yeah.
Motormaster we're going to be talking about later on, but we know he's coming, and the rest of them can't be too far behind. So releasing a third-party Stunticon set, no matter what kind of niche you're really going for, I don't know. It seems like maybe not the best time to do it from my perspective, but like you said, they look fine. It's another one in the myriad pile of Stunticons that are now being released through third parties, but it looks solid enough, I suppose. I haven't heard of Rising Force though.
Nope.
First time I've heard of them, at least, or at least remembered. Memory's terrible. What do you think of the chest though? Because this is going for a more toy chest, at least compared to the cartoon accurate Menasor, which has the how to describe it? Just kind of the flat, detailless black body.
Yeah.
Or grey body. What Menasor do you prefer?
That's a good. When I think of Menasor, I always think of the cartoon more or less. I don't know if I'd say that I prefer that, but
it's the one that comes to mind faster or quicker, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I think that I think if you're doing this, I think the decision to go with a more toyetic look, I think that does work, because the chest is more interesting that way.
I wonder how pointy the horn spikes are going to be. Is it going to be like, if I throw this, will it impale a child kind of thing?
I mean,
I don't know.
Even, one of the things I've noticed in a lot of the Flame Toys Transformers models I built is if there's a pointy bit on it, it's a pointy bit. Don't try to touch it too hard, because you will draw blood. Yeah,
Japan expects their children to learn by bleeding, and if they don't, well...
Yeah, and that's
some blood loss, baby.
That's official third party too. So Hasbro's like, yeah, sure, yeah, stab yourself. It's all good.
Exactly. Looking at Menasor, the more I look at the head specifically, the less I like the head design, and maybe I need closer shots of it. But it doesn't look quite right. I don't know what it is about it, but yeah, the head just looks a little bit off to me, but I can't put my finger on exactly what I don't like about it.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's just me.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. I think maybe Motormaster's head as well. Just because
Really?
I think
What don't you like about Motormaster? Or is it one of those things you can't put your finger on either?
I think I'll wait and see what it looks like with actual color. I think that's one of the big problems. The heads of the other Stunticons are much more. I think you can get more detailed with them because they're not just a big triangle, rectangle basically. I think it is a little harder with Motormaster, especially getting in there with the seat, between like his cheeks and the side of his head. Helmet. Do we call it a helmet? I don't know. He just has a big block for a head, really. But yeah, I think Minotaur's head might look a little better with paint. But again, we'll see once we actually have painted prototypes of it.
That's fair. Shall I take us on to the next bit of news?
Yes, sir.
All right, fans toys. We've got 2 figures for that coming out. First up, we've got the FT-16T Sovereign, which is a masterpiece scaled, because of course it is. Galvatron. This time it's in the toy deco or the comic deco or one of the comic decos. It's a grey version. It's a grey version of him.
Right.
The planned release is going to be 4th quarter of this year, so he will be coming. We see a few shots of him in his robot mode with the paint or the design all over him. We see him in his cannon mode, which is always a mode that never looks good, ever. It never looks good. And the other toy that they've shown is the FT-44JP and the FT-44US Thomas. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. Okay, so these are just 2 recolors. Or 2 colors of Astro Train. So you've got the toy version, specifically the Japanese toy version, which is the black one, and you've got the actual toy version, which is the one I recognize more. Not obviously the grey one, which is the cartoon accurate version. So is there one you want to talk about first, Jason? Do you want to talk about Astro Train first or Galvatron?
I'll start with Galvatron. Yeah, Galvatron's always been...
What do you think of the colors in general on this? Do you prefer normal Galvatron colors out of interest, or do you like cartoon Galvatron?
Oh, man. I mean, growing up, I only knew one person who had the Galvatron toy. So, and of course, Galvatron was one of the best examples of, okay, so the toy doesn't quite look like the cartoon. There's a bit of a difference there.
A tad.
Yeah, just yeah. I tell you, a lot of the Decepticons from that, especially him and Cyclonus and stuff. Like Cyclonus obviously is Cyclonus, but at the same time, you're like, boy, this is just yeah, I mean,
his poor head.
Yeah, you can tell who the character is, but other than that, yikes.
Yeah.
So I've always been a cartoon Galvatron guy, especially since the first time we ever see Galvatron is in the movie, which arguably had the best animation. Not really arguably. I know a couple episodes from season 3, I think also used the same studio that the movie did. So they actually ended up looking pretty good too. Something like that, I think. But obviously the movie animation looked great. So that was the first time we saw Galvatron. And then of course you get, once you're over the fact that Optimus Prime was ceremoniously murdered for toy sales, then you go, oh, I can buy Galvatron. You see Galvatron, you're like, oh, I'm not sure I want to buy Galvatron. And the sound that toy makes, Andy, oh my God.
Yeah, I remember hearing it. It's a thing. It's not. I'd say it's not as egregious as G1 Shockwave. I think G1 Shockwave had a worse gun sound.
Probably.
Galvatron's was not soothing. Let's say
it was not.
No.
So even despite that, I do think that, especially Sovereign here from fans, I think he looks really good in these colors. As much as I like the purple or the lavender, depending on whether you're, I know the Japanese version is a little more lavender. I think that on this figures particularly, these colors look really, really good. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, animation Galvatron is, those purples are my default go-to, but I don't mind this at all.
Okay. For me, I think the toy colors on this guy look really good, like you, Jason. I think he's turned out very pretty. In some ways, I think this looks a bit more interesting than a normal Galvatron, just on the basis that there's more color, and it's being broken up quite nicely because he's got his shoulders and biceps, which are purple. He's got his thighs, which are purple, but then the rest of him's grey. He's got the 2 nipples on the side of his head, which are red.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some really good color distribution. They've even on the ab section chromed the little 4 abs he has, and they've chromed some of the inner parts of the knee area, knee guard, I guess.
Yeah.
So this has turned out really well. I really like this a lot. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit tired of just purple Galvatron and never quite getting the purple that I'm after. Maybe that's the reason. But I think this looks really nice. It's turned out well. I can't really speak highly of the cannon mode because, as I mentioned, the cannon modes never look good. But got some good posing on the figure. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Comic Galvatron, toy Galvatron, I'm not against.
Not in
I'm
this
not
form,
against
no.
at all.
Nope.
No. Yeah, good stuff. All right. What about the Astro Trains?
I mean, they don't do it for me quite as much. To me, Astro Train is very much anime. I like the animation colors much more. I mean, this isn't. No, actually, I don't know, because I think it really does come across as a little boring. Because he's mostly like an off-white, almost like a light gray, like a really, really light gray white. Unless the pictures just aren't doing it and it's more white. And you got a little bit of lead, little bit of red, a little bit of blue, and some black. But yeah, and then the other version has a little more color in like the ab version, or in the abs, I guess I should say. So that looks a little better. But yeah, I don't know. As far as like train and plane version, I think I do actually. I don't know, because I like the black train, but then the white. No, I guess I do like the white shuttle because it matches the space shuttle better. Yeah, so I'd give the nod to that. So whichever version that is, I guess that's the Japanese deco.
That's the Japanese one, yeah.
Okay, I would go with that one because I think black fits the train mode much better, and obviously white space shuttles are, well, that's what space shuttles have been. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, I would like the vehicle modes. I would agree. They look better with the black and the white color scheme. The robot mode does look less interesting. I think overall, I don't like either of them. I think generally speaking, I like the cartoon accurate version.
Yep.
I think the gray is a bit more of an interesting color scheme. I don't know what it is particularly about it that I think is much better than just. Maybe it's just that they're both too white. Maybe that's it. Maybe I don't like how white both of these are, because there's a lot of coverage of them just being solid white in robot mode specifically.
Oh yeah.
That maybe I just don't go in for that. I don't know. Yeah. Fans Toys, this one's not for me, but that's okay. Mr. Jason, tell me about urine, please.
Well, let's face it. We all know we've all we've all been wanting it forever. We've all been thinking to ourselves, we want that Japanese exclusive 20th Century Toy Museum colored Ultra Magnus, and we finally have it, ladies and gentlemen. No one's really thought that, I bet. Actually, no. I'm going to take that back. Someone has definitely thought that. But yeah, so Newage Toys, which I think we talked a lot about their stuff last time I was on the show. They have their color prototypes of their roads, which is G1 Magnus. Although they're calling it their G1 Shining Magnus. Again, this comes via their Weibo. So basically what it is, you take Newage's toys, take on Ultra Magnus, which of course is Optimus Prime with armor. You make that Optimus Prime. Is it like a goldenrod would be a good way to describe the color. I think it's a little more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Although obviously that name's taken in Transformers, but still.
Maybe you could go like honeycomb yellow, because I wouldn't say he's like that. That's the kind of yellow it looks like he's given off, like a honeycomb.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So that Optimus Prime in that color, which I'm actually going to be honest with you, I kind of like Optimus Prime in that color. Like that Prime alone. I like that.
Yeah, it looks really good. I like how his thighs are chromed and his legs are black. It's a good complementary color scheme. It looks great.
Yeah.
I like you. I agree 100%. That looks solid.
Yep. And then on top of that, give it Ultra Magnus armor that is clear yellow plastic.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to assume is not any worse than just regular clear plastic, but who knows? Plastic can be finicky. So I think when the armor is on Ultra Magnus, I think it actually looks pretty good. Especially the parts of him you can see through, like the inner Prime robot in the inside. I think that looks pretty good. I am not one I mean, I don't spend a lot of money on these toys anyways, but I'm not one to spend a lot of money on clear plastic, especially a toy that is mostly clear plastic.
Wise.
Yes, thank you. But I'm gonna say it looks good, but yeah, and you've got some renders of it, and then you have, I think, what looks like an actual picture of it, but against like a kind of a darker background with some stuff behind it. That looks pretty good. But yeah. Although, yeah, they kind of do cover up like the chromed bits in the legs with some plastic too, which I guess you would. I don't know, the chrome might look good there, but so I don't hate it. I really like the colors of the Prime inside, but yeah, I'm not spending that much money on something that's mostly clear plastic.
Okay, all right. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it looks good, personally. I think the Optimus Prime on his own looks great.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that looks great. The P color Ultra Magnus does not look good. I don't think it's ever looked good. Like, this is an exclusive from years and years and years ago from Japan. It's never looked good to me. It's always looked kind of lame and gross, and I still think it kind of looks lame and gross. Just the Prime on its own, though, yeah, that's great. I think this would have done a lot better service if this wasn't translucent plastic, like you said, and we'd just gone for a yellow Ultra Magnus and just homaged it, rather than going full translucent. But maybe people wouldn't have bought it because it wasn't translucent at that point. I don't know. I just look at it and I go, no, never, go away, clear plastic. Nobody likes you.
Not happening.
Yeah, not today. Not today. Should I take us on, Mr. Jason?
Yeah, let's go on to a character we like, I think.
Yeah, it's Mastermind Creations, the R-42C D-Zeph Continuum. What does that even mean, Andy? Well, that's it's Mastermind's creation, IDW styled Deathsaurus figure done into a more G1 styled figure. So they did a previous Deathsaurus, which was, much more to the comic standard, and this is that, but changed a little bit more to make him a bit more toy or G1 styled. So I assume they'll transform in a similar way. They have the different wings, so he has much more G1 wings. He has a different head, so again, it looks a lot more G1. Just generally across the board, they've tried to G1 that figure up. I forgot they were even doing this. I completely forgot. I'm pretty sure me and Mikey talked about it before. I don't know what is new on it, apart from the extra little bits here and there. No updates have been provided as of yet. We hope to hear more on that front soon. I guess in terms of accessories they're talking about. Because we see he's got both of his Breastmasters, the bird. I don't know if that had any special names. He's got his bird, and he's got his lion. The lion is not going to turn into a giant bow. Don't be sad. I know that's a thing everybody wants. He has one sword, which I think is the same as the one he came with before. And he does have a gun. No mace, though, unfortunately. Oh, no, he does have a mace. I'm stupid. I'm sure I saw a picture of him with a mace. Didn't I? Yeah, he does have a mace. I'm dumb.
Yep.
They're just not attached together. He can transform from the robot mode, obviously, to space chicken mode. For some ungodly reason, they've decided to attach the Breastmasters onto his chest on chicken mode, which looks wrong. Don't do that.
Yeah, his arms are too restricted. He can't even do it.
No, he's just kind of flailing behind them. I'm like, so that's no good. I mean, generally, I like it. I guess one issue I do have are the proportions. Like, his arms seem very long.
Yeah.
Like, he can touch his knees without having to bend over desperately much. Like, if you just look at him standing still image, if you stretched out his fingers would go past his knees.
Oh, yeah.
Which I understand. I get it, because they have to be the legs for the chicken mode. It just looks a little bit weird when you look at it and go, damn, those some long arms you got there, bro. What do you think of him, though, Jason? Do you like him?
Well, I think gorilla arms have kind of been the thing with Transformers for so long at this point. Arms seem to be the thing that are always, they're either compromised because they have to fit in the body somewhere, so they either get really small, or in the case of like the Optimus Primes, they end up being really long just because of how they have to fill out the body and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I notice it, it drives me nuts. Then I don't notice it. Then I notice it again, and it starts driving me nuts. So I'm always back and forth with it.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. Yes.
This is so I like how they do the coloring on the wings to make it more G1. I really do like that. Obviously, if I was going to get this one, I would get the comic version because it's it's during that part of the IDW run that was oh so good. Is when Deathsaurus was introduced, and I really enjoyed the character from that. So, while I don't mind this version, it's not the one I would go for. Plus, let's face it, there's only room in my heart for one giant robot space chicken, and that, of course, is Gigan from the Godzilla series. So, I mean, if they want to do a color scheme of him in Gigan colors, I'm all for it. That would probably
that's a fun idea. I like the idea of that. That would be a really good fun crossover figure.
Yep. All you got to do is make it so it looks like his eyes are one big thing, and you're 90% of the way there. Oh, and obviously give him sickles for his hands instead of actual fans, but I mean, that wouldn't be too hard to do, I'm sure.
Yeah, all you need to do is just have like plug-in weapons, so it's just like it goes over the top of the hands, rather than them holding him.
It's so,
which was so before with movie toys and whatnot.
It's so easy. I mean, just let's do it. Get the license. Oh wait, that's right. It's third party. They don't care about licensing.
No, they're good with that.
Although, watch. Homaging Godzilla is the thing that gets third party completely taken down because Toho's like, no.
I guess, yeah, you might be right. That could be. I mean, this is just like a theoretical. If they wanted, like, if Hasbro, because Hasbro's making Star Saber and Victory Saber.
Yeah.
Let's say one day they do a Deathsaurus. They're like, oh fuck, let's squeeze some extra money out, even though we made people fundraise this for us. Let's get some more money out of them. How about we do a repaint Deathsaurus into Gigan and repaint a Grimlock leader figure from Studio Series 8 into Godzilla. And there you go. We have a versus pack.
I think you just literally named the only two toys I would 100%, no questions asked, plunk money down for. Like that would be
there
it.
You go, yeah. Yeah, because there's not really anything you could use for King Ghidorah that's modern. Like, the only thing close would be RID, early 2000s RID Megatron, but that he's one head down and it doesn't look quite right, and he's old, so they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any other like big animal Transformers that they could even try and use.
Yeah, not really. You could maybe get like a slug or a slag or sludge into it, or not sludge. Sorry, wait, what's the Triceratops? Crap, slug or
that's slag.
Slag. Yeah.
That's slag. Yeah.
The offensive version of them. You could maybe get like an Anguirus out of slag if you really, really tried, but that's probably way too much retooling.
Yeah.
But actually, you'd probably be better off doing Godzilla out of Snapdragon.
He's too small.
Yeah, that's true.
I say that because if they did a Deathsaurus, they'd probably want to keep him in scale with the Star Saber, who's leader size. Grimlock is leader size. That's kind of why I went for him. Yeah,
you'd have to completely redo Snapdragon, so good point. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, really, so too long didn't read. G1 colors are fine. I'd rather get the main version unless it's Gigan, then I'm 100% getting Gigan and screw the other toys.
If I was going to get one, I'd go for the G1 version because I like Deathsaurus a bit more there. Not that there's anything wrong with the IDW version, but there's so few G1 Deathsauruses out there. That would be the one I'd want to go for personally. So Jason, take us on to next bit of news, some Jada stuff. Jada.
Yes, Jada Toys. So let's see. Basically, Jada Toys, which you may know as the company that puts out, they put out car versions of the cars from like the Fast and the Furious series, and they've done G1 Optimus Prime. They've done movie Optimus Prime in the truck mode, of course. They've done some Bumblebees. They were supposed to do Volkswagen Beetle Bumblebee, and it never came out, or at least I could never find it. So I don't know if maybe the licensing fell through for it or what, but because I was definitely going to pick that up because I have the G1. I have G1 Prime, the Jada Toys, the one. Geez, I don't. It wasn't like I can't remember what the scale. I think the 1/24 scale or whatever they were. I have that, and I was gonna get the G1 Bumblebee, but I never saw it. So But yeah, they've done like Ecto 1, Knight Rider. I have their Knight Rider. So I actually have a few of their, I like them. They're fine. But
the decent quality and paint jobs and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, they're good enough, right? Well,
I'm sold. I'll buy them all.
I'll be honest with you. That's actually why I don't have Ecto 1. Because the ones I always saw in the store, like the paint apps weren't great, especially up top with all the.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and with, with Prime and like Knight Rider, they're easy. As long as you've got red in the front of Knight Rider and it doesn't look terrible, you're doing fine. And Prime is really just red. So, although the movie version of Prime, which is more the Last Night version, so the more streamlined truck, actually is pretty good. So I guess Ecto 1 just didn't look all that great for some reason. But another thing that Jada Toys does is they do small little die-cast figures. I believe I have a Scrooge McDuck and a Gizmo Duck version of their little toys. I think they're 4 centimeter tall. They're not very tall. But they actually are doing an 18-pack, which will feature Optimus, Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, Sunstreaker, Prowl, Jazz, RC, Sideswipe, Ironhide, Wheeljack, Hot Rod, Ultra Magnus, Megatron, Soundwave, Shockwave, Starscream, Thundercrapper. I'm so sorry, Thundercracker. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
And Skywarp. And, from the picture that we have on here, from a distance, they look pretty good. I'm going to assume if you get a little closer, the paint apps don't look phenomenal. But from far away, I'm sure they're fine. And they actually scale pretty well too. Like Optimus is taller than Bumblebee. Hot Rod is not quite as tall as Prime, but taller than Bumblebee. They actually have different scale and stuff. Ultra Magnus looks like he's the tallest one in the box, which makes sense. So even within these little 4 centimeter figures, there's still some scale here and there, which is nice. But yeah, it's just basically what you'll probably end up doing is if you see them in the store, you'll pick up a couple sets, look over them, see which one has the best paint apps, and go from there if you really want them. But yeah, that's for 18 figures. You get quite a bit in there, and they were $12 in a Walmart in Arkansas. So, I mean, you're getting each figure for like what, 78 cents, something like that. It's not bad.
I don't see the point in these. Can you tell me if you know what the point in them are? Because they're not highly detailed. The paint jobs on them vary, I would say, in terms of quality, especially from product to product or issue to issue. They don't move. They're fairly small. There's no sets that you can play with them on.
Right.
What's the point in them? Right? Because I don't see, like, if I want to get my kid a Transformer, if I had a kid theoretically, I'm not going to get them a little metal statue figure that doesn't do anything, that has questionable molding and questionable paint jobs on it. I'm going to get them a real Transformer that does the thing that says on the tin, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a big reason why they're only $12 for the 18 of them. I think that when you break it down to, I get these figures for less than $1 a piece, and they don't look terrible. I think that's kind of the algebra that factors into it. It's just,
you think it's more of a thing that you get to shut your kid up in the store kind of thing.
well, yeah, like people are buying these for kids. Come on.
Yeah. Like that, because I can't imagine like you tell me you're getting like car versions of these. That makes sense. That's fine because they probably roll around on the table and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like a not very good Hot Wheels, I would imagine. That's fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
That makes sense. To my mind, I get that. That makes sense. These don't conform into my brain to make any kind of logical sense, especially when the amount of like toys that come out for, especially motherfucking G1, or references to G1. Also, there's some biases in this set as usual.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2, 4, 6 Decepticons, a lot more more Autobots, and 2 of the Decepticons are the same. Starscream and Thundercracker are the same mold. They have just been
3 Skywarp's there too.
Differently. No, but Skywarp's got a different mold.
Well, yeah, you're right.
So that's why I put those 2 together, but not him, because his molding is slightly different.
Yeah, you're right.
And we have season 1 cast, and then we have 3 characters from season 3, but then we don't have like a Galvatron or a Cyclonus or a Sweep as well to kind of balance it out. It's a weird set. I don't quite get it.
Well, I mean, it does say Series 1, so Series 2 I could see having Galvatron, Rodimus Prime.
It's just a weird way to start it off, though, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
You know, get rid of Sunstreaker and Sideswipe and put in Galvatron and Cyclonus.
Yeah.
You know, like Sunstreaker and Sideswipe, they were never the biggest characters. He could probably throw Cliffjumper into a hole as well, because again, he wasn't the biggest character on the show.
Yeah.
I'd say the other ones are a bit more iconic than at least those three, and then you could shove in some more Decepticons at the very least. Surely.
And also,
maybe I'm
throw in a
crazy.
pipes so that if you have a Overlord, it can step on them.
Oh my god. No one remembers Pipes. That's literally his most memorable thing, dying in a comic series for IDW.
You're not wrong, but I will also never forget that panel either. Because it's literally, he bumps into him, goes, oh, sorry, and then gets squashed.
It happens. That's how life goes, you know? You're just enjoying your life and then suddenly shit happens.
Yeah, and he'd been featured in, I think it was issue 4, where they went to go find Ambulon, and he had been part of the team that went in with Red Alert and Ratchet, and he actually was a big part of that issue. And then,
well, yeah,
10 issues later, he's dead.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't kill a nobody and have the people care. You gotta try and make the reader care about them first.
Oh, yeah.
And then kill them for a bigger reaction.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
Yep,
how it goes.
Yep.
Shall I take us on to the next bit of news, Mr. Jason?
Yeah, you should.
All right. It's not an amazing story or anything like that, but do you remember that they had a Golden Disc Amazon collector's version of Terrorsaur, which was accurate to the TV show? Well, they've taken that figure and done the amazing thing of slightly recoloring it. I say slightly because it's not a massive recolor, into the toy version. So if you're like, I like the toy version, because it technically has more colors, well, here you go. It's going to be in the Transformers Buzzworthy set, which seems to be where the leftovers go to die, I guess. Bumblebee Buzzworthy is such a weird fucking line. I do not understand it. I do not understand its place in the toy stores, apart from just to dump stuff.
It has to be.
I don't get it.
Like, they have the Authentics, which is more like a dollar toy or dollar store type, thing that they have. And it's like they were like, well, we need to we want to recolor Cup with the alternate chest window. Where do we put it?
Yeah, with the cartoon, I think they said it was cartoon accurate Cup, didn't they?
Yeah.
Even though it's like you said, that's all they really did to it. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
All right.
So yeah, I guess Buzzworthy. Well, what does Buzzworthy Bumblebee doesn't even fucking make sense.
No, not really. I think it's only had one unique mold, which was the Bumblebee that turned into the little G1 only first episode Bumblebee.
Right.
I think that's the only unique thing. Everything else has been random repaints that just don't seem to make sense. I guess they don't make sense for Legacy, so they just throw it into the Buzzworthy thing. Anyway,
yeah, and not like Generation Selects. I guess it doesn't make sense for that.
No, because he'd have to bump the price up for it then.
Well, and I also wonder if who does how the naming for stuff works for this kind of stuff at Hasbro, because remember, Cyberverse got turned into Bumblebee Adventures, even though Bumblebee wasn't even featured in the 3rd season that they renamed it to for the most part.
He's marketable, that's what they say, and they've been pushing Bumblebee as the big mascot, him and Prime, for a long time now. Long time.
That has to be it, because it makes no sense. If anything, you should have renamed it Hot Rod Adventures, because Hot Rod features prominently, especially in that first arc with the whole Matrix thing going on. Like, it's mostly Hot Rod, and hell, you could have. Soundwave is such a beloved character from that show. You could have named it Soundwave Adventures, and it would have made much more sense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I don't know what the naming. I don't know what they're doing with this stuff. But yeah, it's Terrorsaur. It's toy colors. Cool.
What do you think? Which one do you prefer? Because in some ways, I like the toy colors a little bit more, because there's a little bit more, at least in robot mode. I think in Terrorsaur mode, it looks worse, mainly because they don't paint the beak, and the beak should be yellow, and the fact that it's not painted looks weird. It's just red, which is obviously like the toy, but it looks like in bird mode, pterodactyl mode, whatever mode you want to call, it looks like it's missing colors, but in robot mode, it looks a lot better, I think, just because it's got more stuff on it. What about you, Jason? Do you like the colors more? Which one's your favorite kind of deal?
It's always a really weird move to go with toy accurate colors, even though the colors don't make sense.
In terms of what? How don't they make sense?
Well, like you said, like the beak isn't colored, but it looks way better with a yellow or orange beak. Like it looks way better.
Yeah.
But there'd be people out there screaming like, "You did toy accurate. You colored the beak. That's not toy accurate." Yeah, but it looks like shit, dude. Is that what you want?
It's a weird choice. It's a weird choice.
But yeah, you mix the robot mode with the actual toy or not toy version, but the version with the painted beak, and you actually have a pretty good toy, I think.
Yeah, it's not obviously accurate to the show, but it's got a little bit more pep to it, a little bit more zowie.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they need to stop worrying about accurate to show and just do stuff that actually looks good. It would be nice.
That's not going to happen.
Well, no, because people complain because they want their toy version.
Exactly. It's a shame because I never got this figure. Wasn't it I think it was a redo of Air Razor or something, wasn't it? It was like a heavy retool. It was like they used the basic transformation scheme, but they made it into Terrorsaur.
I believe that is the case, yeah. I don't have either one, so I couldn't tell you for sure, but...
No, me neither.
I think you're right.
I guess the good thing about this is, instead of it being locked behind an Amazon paywall, of you having to hope that Amazon has it in stock and they can price whatever they want it to, you can get this Buzzworthy toy version from any store that sells the Buzzworthy line, I guess. If that's one that's near you, then rock and roll. If not, well...
Yeah.
You're going to have to find someone else to source it for you, I guess.
Yeah, more or less.
I'll do the next one as well, because it's another kind of just recolor. We got an image of the Legacy Core Class G2 Megatron, which is basically the Core Class Megatron that we got from Kingdom, just into G2 colors. It generally looks nice. I think the only thing I don't like about it is the head. The head looks like it's on the wrong toy. It looks like they haven't... Have they changed the head at all? In terms of color, they look very slightly different. The actual face part looks a little less silver and a little bit more gray.
Yes. Yeah.
But the bucket helmet is obviously still metallic gray. And there's just something that's not quite right about it. That doesn't look like... It almost looks like the head's photoshopped on, or it's been taken from a different figure, because it just doesn't match.
Right. I mean, there's also the slight chance that maybe just color-wise it's off, because you have the camera might not be able to differentiate between such two drastic color schemes. But
that could be thing.
I do think you're right. I do think it is. Believe it or not, I don't think I didn't think I'd ever just... It's kind of uncanny valley, because it looks just close enough to the original Core Class one, but it looks just close enough to it that it looks off, that it isn't exactly that. But if it was exactly that, it would look even weirder on the body. So yeah, it's weird. It definitely is. It's bothersome.
Yeah. I think a thing that doesn't help it also is the fact that the arms are just pure green.
Yeah.
Whereas G2 Megatron obviously didn't have pure green arms. His forearms and hands were silver. Again, not a massive deal. One of those things that I noticed. If I was going to get one, I'd probably get the G2 version. One good thing about it is, of course, it's not a Generation Select figure. This mold's only been used now twice. This one's been used twice, unlike the previous one, which was run through the ringer loads and loads of times. For a core class figure, it looks fine. It doesn't look like it's anything amazing or special, but it's like, yeah, okay, it's cute. It's fine. You got a repaint out of it. Don't do too many more, Hasbro.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this, Mr. Jason? Because you said earlier that this was not the G2 one you'd want, personally.
No, I would definitely want the G2 version that's more the purple and the gray. For whatever reason, I actually like that G2 color scheme better than the green and purple, even though I do understand the green and purple is quite iconic, but I do like the other one better. Also, whoever did the photo shoot for this article definitely wants you to understand that the Laser Optimus Prime is a much better toy, because you're putting up a core class against, that's a Voyager class, I believe, toy.
Yes.
So,
oh, sorry, which one? The Laser Prime?
Yeah.
No, that's Leader. That's Leader.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jesus, guys. Also, I will say this. Laser Prime was probably the most I've been interested in one of these recently.
Don't buy it, because you can get scourged later.
Yeah, good point. But I do want to point out that the vehicle mode, now that I have a good picture of it from the side, when it's compared to the, of course, they're comparing Core Class Tank Megatron to a truck, and it's 3 times as big. I'm actually I like how good that that truck mode looks for Laser Prime. That looks really freaking good. So yeah, I might pick up the skirt version of that toy. So yeah, that's my big takeaway from Core Class Megatron. I might get G2 Optimus Prime in Scourge colors when he comes out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to Scourge. I'll be pissy. Let's just say I'll be pissy about having to pay leader price point for it. But I'll, because I'm paying for a lot for, even though it'll be the size of Voyager, as me and Mikey mentioned before. But I would like, it'd be nice to get a Scourge figure, an official one, and it looks like it might be an okay figure. So yeah. Before Jason, you take us on to the last two stories. What did you think of the look of the leader Blitzwing? Have you seen it? Do you want me to send you some images of it so you can have a look at it, or do you know it?
I've seen it.
What do you think of it, out of interest? Because I talked about it last week on my own, I think.
I mean, I do think
we talked about it with Mikey. I can't remember.
I do think it looks. I definitely know Mikey talked about it on Twitter. I remember seeing that. I think it looks good. I do understand the fact that you're getting a toy at that size and you're paying leader class prices for it. Yeah, I get the hang up there. So much other stuff. I mean, look, I've just experienced the last 2.5 years of GPUs being, no joke, 300 times the price they should be. All right. So
fuck, were they legit 300 times?
Oh yeah, some of them were 3 times the price of what they should be.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. No, GPU prices have been terrible for the last 2 years. So yeah, it sucks to get that small toy and have to pay leader class prices for it. This is not just a Transformers thing. The entire world has been going through this stuff the last few years. So it sucks, but man, this is not. If you think toys are getting expensive, look at everything is freaking expensive right now. It's terrible. But the Blitzwing looks good. It would be nice if it was cheaper for sure. Now, if it is amazing engineering, and I think Mikey actually made this point too. If the engineering is amazing, I mean, hey, that's going to cost money. That's not cheap, especially with these toys. I mean, just look at. You get some pretty good engineering in third-party toys, and those are usually the ones that are pretty damn expensive. So.
There's also a little bit of a difference in like how the distribution, they're not a major company, so they're not going to produce as many. It's limited stock.
Yep.
So that's
very true. Very true. Yeah,
reason for them.
Yeah, so there's that as well. So yeah, Blitzwing looks good. The price doesn't look great, but yeah. Of course, as I say that, GPU prices are starting to come down. But man,
I was about to ask you, are they any better? Because I'm not going to buy one anytime soon, obviously, because I don't have the money for it. But yeah, are the prices leveling out? Like, have they started to go down?
Yeah. No, they've been going down. They're starting to get really good. I know Asus just announced this week that they are going to start drastically reducing their prices on their current models, just to be more in line with things. Now, I will say, I'm sure that the next round of GPUs that are going to be coming out at the end of this year are probably going to be a little more expensive. Because the most recent ones that came out, like the 3000 series from NVIDIA, they were actually priced really well. Unfortunately, they launched right before the entire world went into supply shortage mode. So, like I said, you were paying twice as much. For the lower end ones, you were paying like two, almost 3 times as much. If you were going for like a high end graphics card, you were paying, double to triple the price for it. So they were going to be cheaper, and then all this happened. So I do expect to see that the next round of them will probably be a little more expensive, just because, A, they're probably trying to avoid another situation where everything sells out instantly for stock-wise, and B, you've got insane people who are paying $5,000 for GPUs. Why not charge a little more? Because they're obviously going to pay it. People do stupid stuff with money, unfortunately. So we end up in these situations. Like, buy a leader class toy that's the size of a deluxe.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Jason. I wanted to ask you about those. Take us on to the last two stories.
All right. So we have, speaking of Amazon exclusives and paying way too much for stuff.
Yay!
We have a Rescue Bot ? 3-pack. So we have re-releases of actually, I'm sorry, these are all re-releases. You have the Dino Scan Optimus Prime, which is Optimus Prime as a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is a toy that was owned, and I think is actually still currently owned in this household. So I have seen this toy. Dino Rescan Bumblebee.
Legally? Do you own them legally?
Yes, of course we own them legally.
Oh
of
my
course, so
God.
you'll never know otherwise.
Oh my God.
Then there's also Dinosaur Bumblebee, and I guess at some point they put out a Grimlock, which is just Grimlock is a motorcycle, more or less.
As you do.
Did not know it was a toy. The three of them will be listed for $27.99. Now, here's the interesting thing here. While they are Rescue Bot toys, they're not really putting any Rescue Bot type logos or anything on them. So it's a little confusing. It says here, while they are Rescue Bot toys, there's no visible Rescue Bots or the new Dinobot Adventures logo, just a generic Transformers logo inside the packaging. So when are we getting Buzzworthy Bumblebee Rescue Bots, Andy?
Yeah, you joke, but you don't know. It could happen.
I don't doubt it. But yeah, these are, so yeah, if you're familiar with Rescue Bots, they were definitely fun toys for kids. I will say, I am definitely one of the people in the camp that said that it would be really nice to get some, let's say, more mature tooling toys for a lot of these characters. For instance, we just got that garbage truck bulkhead. That's Legacy, right? Is that released for Legacy or is that Kingdom?
Yeah. He wasn't a garbage truck though, but I like the fact that you call him a garbage.
What kind of truck was he?
It's kind of more of like a military one with like a material that was meant to go over the back of like missiles or something. I don't know if he was actually a missile trailer, but
right. But that would be a good. But you know that there's a good candidate for a Rescue Bot toy. You know, basically just using that mold for Boulder, I think was his name. Yeah, it's been a while since I watched any Rescue Bots. So.
Oh, I thought the suggestion was it would be good to kind of turn it into. Who's the what do you call it? Fire truck one? Hose head, hot head.
No, hot
something like
that. Dang it, I remember these characters. He was Steve.
Hot stuff.
He was voiced by Steve Bloom too, for Christ's sake. Jesus.
Of course. Well, of course he was. Yeah, but that guy. I think the reason people said it would be a good one for that is just because of how the chest design was. It looked very similar.
I can see that, yeah.
But not being a big rescue botter.
Yeah.
You know, this is just me going, I guess you're right.
Yeah, but you could
shrug.
You could just as easily do a prow and chase colors and stuff like that. You could do a blades out of actually I don't know. Have they done many helicopter? I think the last helicopter they did was probably oh crap.
No, I don't think they do them yet. I mean, that one that they wouldn't do blades.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, they wouldn't do them at this point in time, just because there's no current one to just basically repaint.
Yeah, not really. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, they were, the transformations are really simple. If you've got kids and you want the Optimus Prime turning into T-Rex is pretty freaking cool IMO. So if you got a little kid and you want to give them something easy to start learning how to transform their toys, there you go. I think that Grimlock actually looks pretty cool, except for there's no robot mode. It's just Grimlock or a motorcycle. So that's different.
Nice.
But yeah, for little kids, I think they're fine. But I don't know if you want to add anything to it, but there's stuff.
It seems weird to just re-release more toys and say it's Rescue Bots, like you said, but have no branding to say that it is. It just feels like they had a load of toys just in the back, and they went, should we just shove it in a very, very, very generic box? And it went, yep, that'll do. Okay, sure. Wash your hands.
Sure sounds like it.
It looks like it. I don't understand what this is apart from just getting rid of stuff that they found at the back of a warehouse.
It sure.
I don't get it.
It sure
anyway,
seems like it.
Yeah. What's the last story then, Jason?
We have packaging.
Woo, packages.
That's right. We literally have first looks at the packaging shots of Legacy Commander Motormaster, Shatterglass Voyager Blaster, and they also added Legacy Leader, Leader Class Blitzwing, which I think might be the smallest box here. It could be.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so of course, Motormaster is going to be Commander Class, so that's okay. So that hopefully will be a bigger box than frickin' Blitzwing. If not, holy,
it will be. It'll be the same size as the Hot Rod,
yeah,
or the Rodimus Prime, whichever one that was.
Yeah, probably. And then it's basically just shots. You can barely see outside of his turquoise chest. You can barely see Blaster because he's like, first of all, he's very dark colors, and second of all, whoever took this picture did not light it very well from the front. Considering there's a white background, I'm assuming they just did it in like one of the photo little tent things you put up, and just put lighting around it and didn't bother putting any lighting in front of it because you can't really see anything. I will say though, I really like the kind of the vaporwave colors they're doing for the packaging and the legacy stuff. That nice little 80s nostalgia for you. I like a lot of people. I'm interested to see how Motormaster comes out, because obviously they're going to be doing at least one combiner in this new set. I can't imagine they're not going to do, if not a lot of them, at least an Autobot one. Which if you're doing Menasor, you almost have to do. I mean, I guess you would say Superion, but I know that Defensor also had his spats with them. So
yeah, logically it would make sense that in the future, for the next Commander figure, they'll probably... I think it's fair to say they'll do, like you say, Superion or something like that. I think the interesting thing about Motormaster being a Commander class is, if you look at the image, it, to me, looks like... Oh, the image is. It looks like, to me, they're going to go with the third-party idea, which is what we talked about earlier with Motormaster, of making the cab Motormaster and the trailer into a body structure to build on, or a skeleton structure, I should say, to build Menasor onto, which I don't, again, some people are going to be really pissy about it. I think if it makes both modes look better, I'm fine with that. Why do I surmise this? From mainly just looking at the box art. If you look at the box art, the actual trailer part, you have these two giant blocks with gaps in them.
Yeah.
To me, those gaps look like something that you'd shove a robot into, or a robot peg from the robot into, like if you remember the Combiner Wars kind of slots. It might not be exactly that, but to me it looks similar to that. Clearly the trailer and Motormaster look separate. So that's my assumption. I don't think it's crazy. It will mean that it will be... The issue me and Mikey had with Rodimus, or Hot Rod, whichever one you want to call him, was the trailer, obviously, for him, doesn't do shit. It opens up and there's a little turret, and that's it. It's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's going to be interesting to see here, one, how big Motormaster is. Are they going to downscale him to deluxe scale to then make him fit in with the rest of the Stunticons, and then have this more complex trailer that will turn it into turn into Menasor, or will Motormaster be a Voyager figure and the trailer still be a complex building structure to make Menasor? It's going to be interesting to find out. We'll find out on Tuesday when they reveal it in full.
Yeah, it's
hopefully.
Yeah, because I don't know. I want to say in the cartoon Motormaster was at least a little bit taller than the other ones, but for the most part,
I would agree.
For the most part, the Combiner characters were pretty much the same size, which is why it was so hard to get accurate teams for Combiner Wars, because you had to have a large main figure. So hopefully they do. If they do him somewhere between a Voyager a Deluxe and a Voyager, and the rest of the team obviously be Voyagers, I think that would work well. And hopefully the whole Commander class thing makes it easier to do that, especially when you're going to be focusing a lot of the engineering on the trailer as well. So I think they can make that work. Now, how you make that work with, say, who's the main body in Superion? Silverbolt. Yes, thank you. I mean, you can't give Silverbolt a trailer.
Can't? Are you sure about that?
You shouldn't give Silverbolt a trailer.
Like, just think about this. Maybe, like, he disconnects from the front of the plane and he's a smaller jet.
Well, then you're talking about, of course I blank right with him. What was just crowdfunded? What was his name?
Who's just crowdfunded? I don't know. Who's crowdfunded? You mean Starsaber?
Yeah, Starsaber. He does the separating jet part at some point, too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Now, for like Bruticus, you could definitely make a trailer part work more or less. I think that would work. For Defensor, I think you're looking at you're stretching it a bit if you're trying to get the trying to separate a fire engine more or less. So that's a little iffy. And of course Devastator. All the characters in Devastator were the same size, so I don't know how you make that one work.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to or maybe we get one combiner. That would be interesting if they just go, screw it, you're only getting one. Or another option, they really say screw it, and they just go back to Ultra Optimus or whatever they did in Combiner Wars and don't bother to do any other ones. They
just do a repaint of the Stunticons, and that's it. They're like, wash the hands. Deal's done.
I mean, at the very least, I think that'll happen whether they're doing other ones or not, because it's right there. You don't have to retool anything.
I mean, I don't think they'll do the Prime. I think they'll do G2 at the very least. At minimum, they'll do like a Generation Select Stunticon set of them into G2. I could see that, and that would actually be pretty tempting. I got Combiner Wars in G2, but while those I missed out.
While those colors are cool, Combiner Wars, I don't know. The Prime mode in Combiner Wars just kind of, while I enjoyed it for what it was as a combined mode, it's not great. But if this turns out good, I think that'd be tempting for a lot of people to go with the G2 route with this one. So, I mean, look,
it's going to be interesting to see them on Tuesday, like I say, out of package in robot mode, see what they can do. This is the thing I think people have been, well, it's the thing I've been most interested in Legacy since we heard about it all the way back during Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because until recently with this reveal, I was just like, I don't know. I see this, maybe I'd still like to get Kickback when he comes out eventually. But if on Tuesday Motormaster looks good, I might go in for a drag strip as well. Like, we'll see. You know, I'm tempted. I'm tempted because Decepticons. I will say as well, it's basic, but the blaster redone into shattered glass colors, easy peasy lemon squeezy, but he looks good. I like those colors on blaster. That's fine and dandy. And I don't think it can be convinced to get Blitzwing, unfortunately.
Yeah, and also I think it's funny that drag strip sales completely depend on how good Motormaster looks. Because if Motormaster looks
at least for me.
Oh, for everyone. Other than like,
I don't know. I think people are just buying them. Well, I think there are a lot of people who are just buying the Transformers. To be fair.
You have like the random, parent or grandparent who buys a random Transformer for a kid. Like, oh, this one's an F1 car. That's cool. But
I thought you were going to say this one's an actual drag strip, but he's a car. Yeah. Isn't that a silly name?
I almost did say that. Shut up. But yeah, no. If Motormaster looks like crap, then there's going to be a lot of drag strips on shelves.
Because I remember one of the concerns, well, maybe not. It was a concern I had was the theory that they were going to do the Stunticons and each one was going to look different. They weren't going to look G1. I remember me and Mikey talking about that and being a little bit concerned that it just wasn't going to look quite right because you were going to have them in each of the individual limbs looking like a different style. If Motormaster looks G1 and Dragstrip looks G1, it would be preposterous for them to start changing the designs of the other ones to not be G1, right? It'd be weird. Theoretically they shouldn't do that. Motormaster doesn't look G1. You're gonna get a lot of really pissed off people on Tuesday. If he looks G1, you're gonna get a lot of very happy people on Tuesday. So just wait and see. I guess. Yeah, right?
I think so. Also, was Motormaster part of like the whole Scramble City thing? Could you do drags? Okay.
Yes.
So that'll.
Yeah, the only one that couldn't in that time period was Devastator couldn't do it and Predaking couldn't do it, and then I think pretty much everything in that gap between those two could.
All right, so yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they would even lean into just doing engineering based on, drag strips usually actually I can't remember, it's usually a leg or an arm. I can't remember now. An arm. I think it was an arm.
I think.
It'd be interesting to see if they just kind of lean into. Yeah, he's usually an arm, so we're just going to engineer him to be an arm. They probably won't, but given some of the criticisms of Combiner Wars, they could go that way. Like, okay, yeah, he's only an arm, but he's going to be a damn good looking arm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll probably have the interchangeability between them, just from how it looked like from the reviews of Dragstrip, how he's going to come apart. But again,
to be fair, third party's not doing that. Third party, I think they are the ones they are.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe you're right.
Yeah, that would be something to look into because
At the very least, you should be able to swap the arms around unless the hands are built into them.
which some of them
And
are.
same for the legs.
Some of them are. So yeah.
Yes, that's true. Otherwise, yeah, you might not be able to make arms legs and legs arms, for instance. But you might be right. But until Tuesday, when Mikey comes back and we talk about it, you're just gonna have to make up your own minds, and then you can listen to me and Mikey talk about it on Sunday next week or Monday next week. So that's all the news done, Mr. Jason. What you been up to recently? What you done for fun and all that jiggery jazz?
Oh, geez, man. What was I even doing last time I was on here? Yeah. I want to say I had just... Had I built my Gundam yet? Or was I just I think I just built the Gundam.
I know what you were doing,
What?
Jason. You were streaming.
No, I wasn't.
No, I know, you piece of shit.
Okay, look. Do you want to get into the streaming thing? Is that a conversation you want to have right now? Because we can do it. We can totally go into it.
Stream.
So, all right. So here, I'll preface what I'm about to say with, yes, part of this is it's an excuse not to do it because streaming, people think streaming's easy. Streaming's not that easy. Sure, pressing a button, going live and just playing a game, not the hardest thing in the world. Also not how you grow or get anywhere streaming.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put time into stuff. I don't have a ton of time. I'm very tired at night. Otherwise, I'd probably be doing it. So yes, everything I'm about to say is part of the excuse for why I don't do it. That said, it is really hard. Like it's such an interesting place right now because you and I have these conversations all the time. We both, I'll watch Devin Nash video on it. You'll watch it and we'll talk about it and stuff like that. Like Twitch, so many problems with Twitch. And I almost hate the idea of streaming on Twitch, but
I'll throw this in here quickly. I heard somebody say almost as a joke that you're in the top 1% if you get over 10 views consistently per video. And I was like, man, is that true? And I was like,
well, I think
you're probably in the top percentage at that point.
Well, here's
right?
the thing. If it technically is true because of the sheer number of people who have streamed one or two times and never streamed again. If you factor in the hundred, and I mean this, hundreds of thousands of people who've done that, then yeah, if you have 10 concurrent viewers, you're like top 1%. If you factor in more regular streamers, you're not anywhere near the top 1%. However, if you're streaming for 10 people, hey, cool. 10 people are hanging out watching you do stuff. That's pretty cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's tough because Twitch is like, okay, moderation wise, they have the best moderation tools. Modding for you on Twitch, modding for you is easy because no one really shits on you or anything, so there's not much to do.
I thought you were gonna be really mean and say no one's in your streams.
I wasn't gonna say that. And Twitch has good tools for it. YouTube's mod tools are horrible. I hate them. Yeah, so bad.
I remember when I switched over to just YouTube, you were like, "Please, I hate modding here. It's awful."
And while I've never done it on Facebook, my understanding is Facebook's mod tools are better than YouTube's, but they're still not great. Same with the chat. Like Twitch chat is the chat. But
to be fair, it kind of makes more sense why Facebook's mod tools would be worse than YouTube's because Facebook is not a primary like video hosting site.
No, but
YouTube should be better at it.
Yeah,
they should be better at it than Facebook.
Yeah, and there seemed to be quite a focus on that, but ever since the end of last year, the head of YouTube Gaming, a gentleman on Twitter named Fwiz, he announced he was it might have been the beginning of this year. He announced he was stepping down. To go work in Web3 stuff, which, so NFTs. The head of YouTube Gaming left YouTube to go work in NFTs. He's from all accounts, though, he's a pretty cool guy. So if there's anyone worth...
I don't know. If he's actively going to work with NFTs, it's... I don't know. That doesn't reflect well on you. That's like saying, I'm gonna move from like working in a church to working in a sex ring.
First of all, working in a sex ring is much better than working in a church. Let's just get that straight right now.
Damn!
But anyways, before he left, YouTube brought in Dr. Lupo. They brought in Tim the Tatman. They brought in Ludwig. They brought in three of the biggest... Okay, well, Tim and Ludwig were pretty big on Twitch. Lupo streamed to about 10, 12,000 people a day on Twitch, which isn't small. But Ludwig, you're looking at 60 to 70,000. Tim, you're looking at 70, 80,000, depending on if there's a Warzone tournament, something like that.
Sure.
Now, Lupo still gets like 6,000 or 7,000 per day on YouTube, so he's doing fine. So they bring in all these big streamers, and then Fwiz leaves, and Ludwig said there were more people coming because he was straight up asked, do you know who the next person to be signed by YouTube is? He says, yes, but I can't answer that question. Or he said, yes, but I can't tell you who. It's been 4 months now. No one's been announced. So
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know if Wiz leaving put the brakes on everything, but there hasn't been. Now, granted, they did. It was boom, 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 big person, right after one after another. But, you know, you got to keep that momentum going somewhat. So who knows what's going on with YouTube streaming right now? Twitch has their own problems. Their corporate culture is what used to be a community-based corporate culture around streaming and, you know, building a community is now, hey, pay us to boost the stream you're watching. We're not going to give that money to the streamer, but we'll put them on the front page of Twitch. Like,
yeah, that's really, really gross. That's
I know
terrible.
it is. And, you know, you still can't browse clips easily. Discoverability on Twitch is, do you have more than 20,000 people watching you? Congratulations, you're at the top of Twitch. That's helpful. YouTube has better discoverability, but they still there's still a lot they have to work with on the live streaming side of things. Right now, your discoverability on YouTube is, do you have a successful YouTube channel? Well, then you might get content pushed towards you and stuff like that. So, and, you know, Twitch, obviously I'm biased because I'm a fan of Dr. Disrespect, but the whole ban of him almost 2 years ago now, that was, I mean, at this point, nothing's come out. It was all pretty much the common feeling is it was just a contract dispute and Twitch didn't care to pay him money anymore because Mixer didn't exist anymore. So why are we paying someone to be exclusive to our platform?
That's a shame because the hope was there was some stupid over-the-top drama behind it.
You might have thought the hope was, I just wanted to talk, not banned.
It's not just me. Loads of people wanted to see some crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because think of all the theories that came out around that time.
Well, trust me. Yeah, I remember. And then just recently, and this is probably a name that a lot of people hear and get upset at, but Twitch also just recently perma-banned Destiny, who was a big streamer. A lot of people don't like Destiny, especially if you lean to one side of the political spectrum more than the other. Personally, though, I do know, and you and I have talked about this before, Destiny was the type of person who, while he has a certain way that he, you know, while his politics are a certain way, he was never afraid to bring in someone who disagreed with him and have a conversation with him. And you and I have talked about the fact that that's a good thing. You should, you know, it's good to talk to people. But no, Twitch just got tired of him being right wing on Twitch and basically got rid of him. Which I don't agree with that. I think that you need to have open discourse. Twitch is their own company. They can make that decision. I'm not going to go on an Elon Musk rant about free speech on Twitch or Twitter because that doesn't apply to Twitch or Twitter. Explain that to a smart person like Elon Musk, though, and apparently it just goes right over their head. So...
Well, when you're Elon Musk, all you have to then do is just go, I'll buy 10% of the company then. And he can. It's like, okay.
Which apparently he might get in trouble for because while he was doing that, he was supposed to tell the SEC that he was an active investor and not a passive investor, so he might be in trouble there.
Right.
Yeah. And
okay.
Everyone's saying that Twitter doesn't need an edit button. Look, if an edit button works on Facebook, it'll work fine on Twitter. Get over it.
No, it's impossible. No. You don't understand. What are you, a magic techno wizard person?
It's crazy because on Facebook, if you edit something, there's a little thing there that says edited, and if you like mouse over or click on it, it shows you what the previous version was. Oh my god,
that's impossible.
It's the easiest thing in the freaking world. So everyone who says Twitter shouldn't have an edit button, go, I don't know, go jump off a bridge or something.
Oh my god. We're going to have to edit that.
So, yeah, I've got problems with Twitch. But again, it's like, so but like you, I'm thinking if I do stream, I'd like to restream to Twitch and Twitch and YouTube. Although I think you and I both agree Facebook would be the best place to stream, but neither of us want to do that. So
yeah, no, I can't be bothered. I might start streaming to Facebook, but don't you need to create like a Facebook page to stream to?
I don't know.
Because I don't want to just put it on my Andrew profile. I'd want to be on a different profile.
I honestly don't know how that works because I only watch a couple streamers on Facebook at all, and they were just big established streamers that Facebook brought over, so they already had their own page separate from their regular page, I believe. So I don't know. But yeah, basically my biggest problem with restreaming is I only want to use Twitch chat because the other chats suck. So I would probably just set up something where I set up like a chat bot to just go in every couple minutes and say, hey, if you want to chat, it's fine if you do it here, but if you go to Twitch, it's a better experience, blah, blah, blah.
I can't be bothered to deal with you, so just come over to Twitch instead.
In my defense, though, even though I haven't streamed it forever, I have it set, my chat is set up, it goes across the bottom of my screen. It looks, it's very cool. I like how it's set up, but it doesn't work with YouTube or Facebook. So you would never see those chats on my actual stream. So it's better if everyone goes to Twitch to chat. But
that's true. Yeah,
so
I see where you're coming from.
Bottom line is I'm still too tired to do it and stuff. I want to. I have spent probably two full work weeks, so like 80 hours worth of time building up my freaking OBS. And then I don't do anything with it.
You spend not only time, you spend money on getting stuff as well, like cameras and lighting.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, that's stuff. Not a thing. Nope. Yeah. Can you
not a shame.
You're breaking up.
How's his stream deck?
Is Discord okay? I can't hear you anymore. It's crazy.
Maybe you should use your other stream deck.
I freaking hate you. So yeah, to go back to what set off this rant. Yeah, I was not streaming last time we talked. Yeah.
So what have you done? What have you done for fun? There's a little bit of random like tech streamer little chat that me and Mikey would never do.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. I don't do much. Like I watch YouTube. So I do think I probably had a few Flames Toys model kits left. I have built the Bumblebee, so I've now officially done I think.
Do you have Windblade?
She is currently at my pile of loot at BBTS. So
okay. When you think are you waiting for more stuff to come in before you ship her over, or is she going to be shipped soon?
So I actually checked this the other night. I was like, so can I just ship my pile of loot, or should I wait? So here's what I have coming in the next 2 months. So with this month, actually, April, I have 1, 2.
Sorry, when you say coming, do you mean stuff that you've got pre-ordered, or stuff that's going to be coming in this pile of loot
pre-ordered coming in the pile of loot? Yes, correct. Yes,
pre-ordered. Okay.
Supposedly this month, I have 1, 2, 3 Gundams. I have the Nendroid Optimus Prime because I am getting. It'll be my first Nendroid, so that's my excuse for that.
Oh no!
I am getting the this is one you'll love. I'm still getting the pop-up parade statue of Ryoku.
Hey.
So that's April. So it's kind of silly to ship my pile of loot when I've got that much stuff coming in April. Then we move on to May. In May, I have the Transformers. I have the Flames Toy Devastator because I want to build that. I have the SH Monster Arts Final Wars Godzilla coming. And I also have the sticker sheet I have the wet decal sticker sheet for one of the Gundams I'm getting coming in May. So I probably can't ship before May. Then I have a break and nothing's coming in until September. So maybe at the end of May.
Then you have a break.
Then maybe at the end of May, I can ship my pile of loot and I'll have Windblade and 3 Gundam models and another Flame Toy model kit to build and another Godzilla SH Monster Arts. Yeah. So there is a Transformers thing in there. It's just a model kit.
That's fine. Yeah. Well,
so I have Windblade. She'll be coming in when I can actually ship all that stuff. What else do I have in my pile of loot? Oh, I have the Deathscape Gundam that we've talked about. Scythe. Yes. So 4 Gundams coming whenever I decide to ship my pile of loot once they're all in. So that'll be fun.
Damn, son.
And I also went. I had some free time on Friday. I went and got some paints to do some weathering effects, some dry brushing with. I got some. What else did I get? Just some odds and ends, like some masking tape for the painting and stuff like that. And then I have top coat. I couldn't find any decent top coat when I was out and about. So I ordered some off of Amazon. So that'll be in the next week or so. And then once I have that, I can start, doing up some battle damage and some weathering. And my hope is, and I think it'll be quite easy, is to make it look better than Hasbro did with their shitty battle damage / weathering, because that stuff.
I mean, if that's what you're going to measure by, that should be an easy thing to surmount. Because they did a bad
lowered
job.
expectations.
You're definitely going to do
lowered
better.
expectations, sir. That's what I'm going for. So
all you got to do is dry brush. Dry brushing is pretty easy.
And I did that, I showed that paint wash I did on the one Star Wars little model I picked up, and that looked really good. So,
exactly.
You can get super detailed, or you can, I don't even want to call it like a cheat or a shortcut. Like, I think dry brushing is actually a very effective way to paint these things. And I think it's a really, everything I've seen that's been dry brushed, I think looks great. So I think it's a really good way to do this stuff. So I'm excited to get into that, show off some of what I end up doing. I will say, I think the Flame Toys Bumblebee, I think it could use a little bit of weathering too. I think because it's such a short little stout figure. I think it would look good with that. It's a very much an orangish yellow color. I think it would look good broken up with a little bit of like, some battle or some weathering paint and stuff like that. So I might do something with that as well. But really that gun to my belt, I'm just going to test a lot of stuff on that and see how it looks and then go from there. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to get into that and really start messing around with weathering and things like that. As far as anything else I've been doing or related, not really. I think I covered a good chunk of it. So I don't know. What have you been up to since everyone heard your lovely solo show last week?
Wait, you not been watching Star Trek Picard?
I have been very much enjoying.
Season 2.
I'm here to shock everyone. I've very much been enjoying the Red Letter Media episodes on Star Trek Picard.
When are they did one this week, didn't they? So it's not going to be this. It's not going to be this week from today. It'll
be in.
It's going to be the week after.
Although earlier today they did release a half in the bag on Moonfall, which is the.
I hadn't heard of that. Yeah, I saw that, but I saw the video go, but I've never heard of.
Oh, it's
Moonfall.
the newest Roland Emmerich film, Andy.
Oh, yay. Okay, so it'll be trash. Okay, I like Roland Emmerich films. They're really bad. So
something tells me that is going to be a fun half in the bag to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right. I have very much been enjoying there. And according to Mike, they're out after season 2.
No, you got to go back. You got to suffer.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know, when they did that episode, I don't know if they knew about the entire cast returning for season 3. I have a hard time believing that they can't convince Mike to go back and just see the next generation crew be completely bastardized in like the worst way possible.
You have to see how bad it's gonna go. You have to.
I don't have words for. I don't.
What a show!
I don't get it. I don't. Yeah. I know there's people who like current Trek, and I don't mind the films. I posted. I think it was this week on Twitter. I can't believe freaking Star Trek Beyond was 5 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago, however long it was. That was it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I do not like current TV or streaming service Trek. I can't.
If I was going to measure Beyond Star Trek Beyond with the other movies, I'd put it in the same vein as Insurrection and Nemesis. That's how I feel about it.
And keep in mind, and I think Mike, he didn't make this exact point, but he was talking about, or no, I'm sorry. So I went back and watched, because it took me so long to watch Beyond, I hadn't seen the half in the bag on it. So that's why I posted that picture on Twitter, because I was watching it for the first time. And Mike did make the point that of all the next generation films, Insurrection was the one that was most like Star Trek. Because
I see, when he said that, I kind of agree, but I would say in terms of like not a very good episode, because it's literally one of the episodes, but not as good. It's super similar to the episode where they're on a Vulcan planet, and the Vulcans are space flight. For some reason, the medieval culture. One of them dies. Picard beams them up to the ship, saves their life, and they think of him as a god. It's kind of the same idea. It's the same premise at the very least. It has a lot of the same bones, but it's not nearly as interesting.
Which, if I remember correctly, that was also a really good episode, right?
That was a really good episode.
So, to Mike's point, while Insurrection is my favorite movie, he is right. It is the most like an actual episode of Next Generation. And of course, Nemesis for what it was, and every time Nemesis gets brought up, you always hear about how the cast hated it because Stuart Baird refused to acknowledge anything Star Trek. Like, he didn't even know what Star Trek was. The director, and that comes up every time. It's amazing.
Some irony of that, hearing that now, isn't there?
And for as much as I love it, First Contact isn't a Star Trek; it's an action film.
Yes, it's Die Hard. It's Star Trek Die Hard, and it's stupid. It's fun, but I think what saves First Contact is we get some really good Picard moments in there. Like, that's what makes that movie
and that's
good.
Another thing I don't understand about Picard, because I meant to forward you this. I read an article. I can't remember what it was on, but Picard actually changed First Contact. It was going to be Picard who was down helping Zephyr Cochrane go to the warp flight, and Will Riker was supposed to be the one dealing with the Borg on the ship.
That would have made a lot more sense.
Right.
That would have been a lot more in character with those people, because Picard is not an action hero. He has a few action episodes, but they're not. He's not like Bruce Willis, which is what he was in First Contact. And having Riker do that, he was much more of the Kirk. He was the fighter. So that would have made so much more sense. It would have made sense. But let me guess, Patrick Stewart wanted to be the hero, didn't he? He wanted to do the action stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. It makes sense, but I don't think you get a better movie. I think you get another movie that feels like a Star Trek episode.
I mean, it's always hard to say. Do you get a better movie by changing that? It's so hard to say. You keep the characters consistent, which is probably better than doing whatever you're doing. And although First Contact was a fun film, I'm not sure it's something you'd say like, oh, this was a really good Star Trek film. Like, a really good Star Trek film, I would say, was Undiscovered Country. Yeah. That's my favorite Star Trek film, because that's a Star Trek episode. It's very Star Trek-y, but it's on the big screen.
My favorite is always going to be Wrath of Khan, but
I can see that. Like it's not one of my favorites, but it is. Again, that's a Star Trek film. It
Undiscovered
feels like
Country is like number right there. It's very, very close for me there. So I have no problem calling it my favorite as well. But I don't think you get like the line. You don't get the line is drawn here moment from Picard if he's on the planet with Zephyr. So as much as one of the biggest problems with Star Trek Picard is the fact that Patrick Stewart has so much goddamn control over the show, I think he actually did the right thing with First Contact. So
maybe it's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you could say like, would First Contact have been a better movie if we'd got more Will Wheaton? Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe.
Dear God. I mean, I can answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as contentious as Picard and Riker switching roles.
For sure. So
who knows? It could have been an amazing movie if it was young Wesley Crusher with his magic space powers destroying the Borg.
Oh God! All right, yeah. So what were you doing last week?
What was I doing last week? That's a good question. Not a huge amount. I got 2 more of my Berserk books. Well, technically 3. Volume 6 came in, or whatever volume I was missing last week came in finally. And then 7 and 8 are in. I've done a bit more reading through that. And this week I will be buying 9 and 10, so I'll be fully up to date until July, which is when the volume 11 comes out. So that's great. I'm happy about that. I can't remember. Had I finished Elden Ring last week?
I think you are. I know that I know your first stream on Tuesday was Super Robot Wars, so you had definitely finished it by the time you started streaming. So I'm assuming you would have.
Because I would have. Yeah, because I did it on Saturday. Okay, thank you for letting me know, because I'd forgotten. So yeah, I've been streaming Super Robot Wars. It's kind of hard to go back to streaming Super Robot Wars because it's so uninteractive. Yeah. Like, I pretty much do the same thing every time, which is get all my robots, set them up in a line, and let the enemy come for me and do the attacks that we've seen hundreds of times before, and then that's the mission done. And then it's read a load of stuff on screen poorly, and that's it. And just rinse and repeat and just do it over and over again. It's like, I don't know. I might not stream any more Super Robot Wars because I'm like going back to it. It feels a little bit rough to go back to and have such little interactivity with the game itself. And I don't know how entertaining it is to watch. It's hard to say.
I mean, your voice. The best part of you playing Super Robot Wars is your voices. Because no, I mean that in a good way. Like you have a lot of fun with it. But you're 100% right. Like,
yes,
it's a lot of dialogue and it's a lot of like moving characters around and stuff. But you do what my point is that you do a really good job making entertainment with like the voices and stuff like that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, well, that's good at least. It doesn't for me. It doesn't help as well because I know the stories. I've seen most of the animes they're based on, so it's one of those things where it's like, all right, so we're going through Gundam Narrative, the movie. I'm going through Gundam Narrative. I know Gundam Narrative. It's a crap movie. It's got a crap storyline. Let's go and revisit it. So it's like, oh, okay. Code Geass. It's like, okay, I know Code Geass. I know all of the things it's based on. Practically, there's only a few that I don't know. It's not told in the best way, and there's some that I just don't care about either. So. I don't know. It's rough to go through, I find. So I've started up Total War Warhammer 3 again, playing with Slanesh. That's fun to go back to. That's entertaining to go back to. It had a 1.1 patch recently, so it's fixed some of the issues. It has caused my leader character Nakari to unfortunately seemingly keep one of the negative traits, which is something you'd be able to get rid of. Because I started the game before this patch. The patch, usually you get this negative trait, and when you come out of the Realm of Chaos where you get it, it goes away. That's gone now. I was hoping that the building that generally would cleanse them before would cleanse the negative trait. Doesn't seem like that's the case. So Nakari is just there with a big debuff to him, which is upsetting everybody around, making rebellions pop and everything like that. So that's a little bit annoying. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to get Sekiro. Mr. Jason told me that there's a sale going on, or will be going on soon.
Next month sometime.
For Dark Souls games. So I'm hoping Sekiro will be on sale then. I don't know if it will be. I'm thinking at the very least, if Sekiro isn't on sale, Neo 2 will be on sale, because that's a Souls-like game as well. So that either of them, if they go on sale, I'll pick up one of them, and we're rocking and rolling. I might ask if chat wants me to just play Total War Warhammer 3 for a bit, or if they want me to slap in another game as well, because I think I looked through my Steam list of games I have but I haven't played yet, and I think I've got like 5 or something which I haven't started at all yet, that we could try and play on stream for some entertainment factor. Or I could replay, because there's like Prey, which I haven't played since... it tells me 2019. So it's been a while since I played that. It's like, oh yeah, no, it's not me. Yeah, it's been a bit, and that's fine. I could play it. It's like a BioShock. You can play it in slightly different ways and stuff like that. It's not an amazing game. It's like, yeah, it's okay. So I don't know. I'll figure that out during the week. Obviously, I'll need to figure that out that in the next 2 days, to be honest. But yeah, apart from that, that's been about it. The only thing I've been watching at night is Berserk 2016, which is still not a very good show, but I love it because it's Berserk. Even if it is poorly edited, poorly paced, it's a bastardized version of really good material. I'm even watching it with the dub.
Whoa!
I know. And believe it or not, the dub does not detract from the experience, because the experience is generally so poor that the kind of mediocre voice acting is not the worst thing about the show, or the mediocre dub.
Fun fact, I think I've been listening to this show long enough now that the first time I ever heard the show, is when you were watching Berserk 2016 for the first time and talking about how bad it was.
Oh. Well, that's interesting, because most of when I first started watching it, I was like, yeah. And then at some point I went,
it must have been I think it was to the point where you were like transitioning from yay to no. Because you still had hope that it was going to turn around. I
did.
And yeah, obviously we know.
So
but yeah,
sad.
it's funny because it's weird because, I've been like, it's hard to think about because I've been working from home for almost 3 years now at this point because of COVID. Like 3 years. Where'd that time go? So, and I was listening to this show for at least 2 or 3 years prior to leaving work or starting to work from home. So I've been listening to the show for like 6 years, and it feels like it's been like 1.
Yeah, it's crazy how time kind of just rushes on by, isn't it? It's nuts. Yeah, same. Time goes faster the older you get. And yeah, when you're a kid, do you remember how long an hour in class was?
It was the worst.
Man, you'd you looked at that clock and you were like, fuck me, time is just not moving. I'm in maths class and I'm just stuck here forever. Oy, strange how it works. But yeah, I suppose that's the show for the week, everybody. Thanks for coming on by. Thank you, Jason, for filling in my
pleasure.
Shoes. I don't think we've got any messages or questions. I'll just have a quick look on the Facebook. We don't have any emails. I'm 90% sure on that. I didn't see any messages on Moonbase that were like, hey, there's people talking to you. Talk about the things. Let's have a quick check, though, just in case. Oh, no, people are putting up pictures of Mikey looking happy.
Why?
I hate it.
Wait, who got a picture of Mikey looking happy? That doesn't exist.
I don't know. I'll send it to you over the Discord. There you go. It'll disgust you. It makes me feel ill to my stomach. Look at his little fucking happy face. Look at how content he looks. I hate it. What a bastard.
I know. Just and how many people do you think he killed before he took this picture, huh? Probably 3 or 4.
All of them. Yeah. All of them. Behind the camera, it's just blood everywhere. Everywhere. Oh, Christoph Carlson says, so I've been rewarding Green Lantern. I think it means rewatching the Green Lantern animated series. Very good. And it got me to pick up a pick up glow-in-the-dark goo figure. Oh my god, I'll send you the image of it. It looks weird. B, wonder out loud, with all the newish human Green Lanterns, why is there no Earth-based Blue Lantern now? I don't know. I've been out of DC Comics for a long time. Do you want to see a goo Green Lantern? Green Lantern made of goo? Looks creepy. I guess it's not a bad idea for a construct, but it's one of those stretchy, pulley, bendy figures. Do you know the cool the goo jitsu figures?
I mean,
Jason?
No, but I can figure out what it is.
Yeah, well, there's an image of it in the.
It definitely works for Green Lantern and like constructs and stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I will say his eyes are a little soulless. Like on the figure, on the drawing, it looks fine, but
have you ever met Hal Jordan?
Oh, this isn't.
I know,
Hal
but
Jordan.
Still, soulless goes with Green Lantern quite well.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Poor Hal. So yeah, where can people find you on the internet, Mr. Jason? If you want to.
On the internet, I am.
If you don't want him to, that's fine.
I mean, if they want to, I'm not going to force them.
Where can they find you streaming?
Oh, that's every night into my pillow. I mean, come on. Come join me. No.
Bathtub stream with
really.
Jason.
Oh, God. I am on Twitter at Jason S. Kirk. And I maybe someday, hopefully, will stream as much as my rant would say not to on Twitch at Jason S. Kirk. Maybe on YouTube as well, although I don't even know if you can find me via my name on YouTube. I should check that sometime. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday like I said, the biggest problem is I'm just too tired at night. But if I wasn't, yeah.
I get that.
But at the same time, like I still want to, last time I streamed, I played, I think it was Streets of Rage 4 with you, and it was a lot of fun. I would
That's right.
Definitely like to do that again soon. And especially if
we've got Resident Evil 5 to play together.
Oh, shoot. I forgot. We did buy that to do that, didn't we? All right.
Yeah.
We'll set at the very least. Okay. At the very least, assuming Mikey is back next week, at the very least, by the next time I appear on the show with you, we will have streamed together one time. Let's shoot for that.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Okay. That's determination.
Again,
like
as long as Mikey's here for next month, we should be good.
He should be. He should be back next week. Nice. Is that everywhere then?
Yeah, I don't think there's. I don't exist anywhere else. I'm just a figment of everyone's imagination.
Nice. Okay, well, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Decade Andy. We're on the Moonbase 2 forums, Twitter, iTunes, Facebook, Libsyn, YouTube as Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. You can send messages to the usual place for Mikey and the usual place for me if you want to go that way. Hopefully the messaging system is working. I think Andreas, I hope Andreas' messages are getting through to Mikey now. If not, let me know on the Patreon, patreon.com/moonbase2. $2 each month. You get the extended version of From the Files of Teletran 2, which I hope we can get Mikey sorted for at some point. You get the Moonbase Woo Woo, where we talk about non-transformery things in more detail, which I need to edit and get up, which will be on Galgaga. And yeah, you can find us on the ccbunker.woodley.com if you want to come that way as well. So, Mr. Jason, as ever, thanks again for coming on by. I can hear your stomach growling, so I know that there's a steak in your future, and I hope you enjoy it. Again, you gotta try. You gotta see if they do blue. If, like I said, if they don't know it, don't do it.
I'm gonna look at that steak and I'm gonna say, "You're my boy, Blue."
Are you gonna eat it and like look at your kid and be like, "This is what happened to Blue's Clues"?
That is horrific, and yes, I will do that now. Thank you.
I love that dog, Dad. Yes, he's delicious.
Tastes like steak.
Tastes like finding things that are very obvious around the house. That doesn't even make sense. Shut up. Quite you. All right, well, until next week, everybody, we'll see you next time. Well, I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everybody.